over on the side.
Maybe click and drag, but I'll keep an eye on it.
Anyway.
Okay, we're into the session. Good evening. I'm going to call the Middlebury Select Board meeting of Tuesday, January 14th to order. And first item is approval of the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any changes to the agenda? We do have, we're moving item number 10
Number 10.
to our next meeting.
Yep.
Is there anything else?
No. Nope.
Okay. I would like to have a brief executive session following the meeting with just board members, please. So, if everybody is in favor of approving the agenda with the two small amendments, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Farhad, not.
Farhad is in India.
No, he is
Oh, that's right. Yep, yep.
Fair enough.
Good reason not to zoom in.
I don't know why.
Yeah, you would zoom in from
I'd
India.
zoom in from India.
Yeah. Next is approval of the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Anything anybody would like to call attention to on the consent agenda?
I have one quick thing. In the clerk of the works report, item 1.6 says what's ahead, and on the schedule it says January 14th select board meeting to vote on January 7th findings,
It does say that.
but I don't know what that was supposed to be about. I didn't see anything in the agenda, so.
On that clerk of the works report, I would just comment there's an attachment that says it's a PDF, Ilsley Library Site Logistics 9/22/24. That isn't something that could open, and I wonder if that could be sent to the board.
Sure.
Thank you.
Just contact, we can just send an email to Judith, she can get it to us. Or Dana. I'll get it.
So back to my
That's a
question.
good catch.
Could you give me the number again, Heather, just so I can?
It's on the third page, item 1.6. It says what's ahead, and January
You guys can get it. so.
14th.
Sorry about me.
So I guess my concern was that we don't have anything that we're sure needing to act on to keep the schedule going.
No, I think that has to do with the finalizing the budget to
Yes.
keep them going, but
Okay.
it's not clear in the way it's.
Okay, and that's
It's
what we
worded.
might have done last week?
It's what we did last week,
Oh,
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
get your consensus on that.
So we're all good then?
Yes,
Okay.
they're all good.
I just want to make sure we're not falling behind in anything we're supposed to do on that schedule.
No,
That
I
was it.
think we're good.
I have a couple of comments on the minutes of the December 17th.
Okay?
And I have these, I'm gonna give this to Crystal so that Beth can have them, but I'll just go through them briefly. On second page, line 52, 53, Jenny Oster introduced herself. I think it should just say, and said she oversaw the preliminary engineering for this project. I don't know if anointing her project manager is premature or just what. And then down on line 78, she said the other
I'm
driver
sorry.
in this.
Can we go back? Emily, she's
I have a
more-
different 52, 53. You're actually on the January 7th minutes.
Right.
I'm on December 17th.
Hmm.
I think
No.
if you go in their packet and
These
you
are
click
the-
on that, you get the wrong link. You have to go into the
Oh,
listed things in the packet to get the right minutes. It's just a,
Oh,
you're right,
yeah.
it is linked as one.
It is linked wrong.
As 1.7.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
So, sorry, can we go back to the comment about Jenny?
Yep.
well.
She is more than a preliminary,
Yeah, engineering project manager. Yep.
so I think it should stay
Okay,
project manager.
all right. I didn't know whether that was,
Okay.
certainly oversaw the preliminary
She's
engineering.
more than.
Okay,
so
all
I
right,
think it should
fine.
stay as is.
And then down in line 78, she said the other driver in this evaluation, I think it should be drivers, plural. The next line, and impacts where the product can be disposed. I think product you're referring to there is sludge. And then on the next page, again, on product at line 100, Rathbun said there'd be other costs involving expanding the system and getting the product to the plant. I think there, you're referring to getting the wastewater to the plant, the other product, sludge. And then finally on line 166, Seeley asked if lime stabilizer, lime is not the L-Y-M-E, evil lime, but the L-I-M-E stabilizer, right?
Yep.
And then on the motion on lines 195, 196, I'd forgotten the amount that was recommended by the board was that amount and not 50 million. It was 49,580. I just it's a comment. And I don't.
Are you
No,
saying you think that should be changed to 50 million? Because I think we
Well-
approved what, my recollection is we approved the
What they asked
exact
for.
amount, the 49,580.
Okay, because in the, later on when we get to the warning, the amount that we voted on, I don't know if it's we can talk about that later, at the time of the warning. Anyway, that's all I have.
Okay.
Just make sure on that we leave project manager.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Other comments? Okay, hearing none. We have a few amendments. So, all in favor of approving the consent agenda with a few amendments, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, citizen comments. Is there anyone here this evening for something that's not? Megan? Please.
Hi,
Come on up.
forward.
Oh, right, okay.
We do have a listening audience,
Like right here.
and you're gonna wanna make sure
Perfect.
they see you, so yeah, good.
Okay, great. Okay, I always get a little nervous before I speak, so, but I'm just saying that out loud so that I can let it go. My name's Megan James, and I'm running for Middlebury Selectboard. So I just wanted thank you. I just want to come and introduce myself. I know some of you, I've met a lot of you, but I just wanted to, in the context of running for Select Board, I wanted to say that I've lived here a long time, more than half my life, and I have spent the last 20 years, or 15, 20 years working in journalism for community newspapers, including the Addison Independent and 7 Days. I run Middlebury, which is an online resource for people raising kids in Addison County. I've done that for the past 6 or 7 years, and that's been really rewarding to connect with other parents and caregivers in our area. And I have 2 kids of my own at Mary Hogan, and I love this community, and I just want to be part of the group of people who are working together to make it an even better place to live and to have kids. So that's me.
Yay!
Hey, Megan.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Need you, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else for something that's not on the agenda? Before we jump into, Chief has something. Chief, are we? No, just waiting. What's that? Well, I would like to, it is on the, I skipped it. Okay, so it is on the agenda. Then we're moving to number 5, and Chief has something. Come on forward, and we want to introduce our new town manager. He's in our midst, and in your honor, the one of the senior officers at the college came, the bank president, they all came to welcome you to town. So,
I think they all came to see me finally leave.
no.
That would be a good part of it.
I had great pleasure to introduce Mark Prohensky, our new manager. And I don't know if you You can't imagine how much pleasure that gives me to introduce. And the first thing we have to do is give him the key to the building. There you go, Mark.
Mark, that's your only one and only time we get to sit at that table, so
Yeah,
this
right,
is your
right.
chance.
Well, this is the first time I've had an opportunity to see you all in person, since my interview anyway, and I just wanted to say thank you for the opportunity. I'm really looking forward to serving Middlebury, and very excited to get started tomorrow. So,
Yeah.
thank you.
And for the townspeople, you'll see him walking around town because he actually lives in town, right in downtown, and intends to walk around quite a bit.
Quite a bit. Get a
park
lot
the
of
car.
steps in these days.
Yeah. So we're really excited to have you come on board. And for Chief, can't thank you enough. I thanked you in person, but I'd like to thank you publicly for stepping in, helping us during this transition. It was challenging transition on a number of fronts, and you were really instrumental in helping us bridge that gap. And so thank you very much again for your service to this community, Chief.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
And it's just a tribute to the staff here, David and Crystal, Emily, just the support they gave through all this. Everybody did, everybody in the staff. They've been wonderful, and I'm happy to turn them over to Mark. He's going to enjoy working with them. They're all excited. The morale here there's a level of excitement, how things have changed and things are all new now, so we're all excited. But the most important thing is, per the contract, I have to terminate the contract we have, you and I, so here it is. I have to give you at least 48 hours notice. I'll give you 72. I'll pass this along to you.
Sounds good.
Thank
It's
you.
official.
Thank you.
So Carolyn and David, as significant community members, this is the best chance you have to say hi to Mark. Carolyn Carpenter, namesake, they're not related, but she did loan me the money to build my house. And David Provost, and he's waiting on a new president. So maybe at some point you can clue us in how that's going. But so time to move to the budget. Tonight we have our public hearing, and tonight's hearing is an opportunity for the Select Board to take public testimony on our proposed FY26 general fund budget. In accordance with 24 VSA section 127-1302, the board is conducting a public hearing to take questions and comments from the Middlebury community regarding the proposed FY26 general fund budget. Shortly, I will turn the floor over to town staff, and after their presentation, if you have a question or comment regarding the budget and would like to address the select board, please raise your hand and approach the microphone. With that, I'm going to open the public hearing and turn the meeting over to Dave, Crystal, and Nicholas. And I have to call out the community's most active citizen in holding our feet to the fire on budgets. And Victoria, I was not let down, and you made it tonight. I knew you were traveling recently and out of the area, and I was fearful you were not going to be able to make it. And thank you very much for coming this evening.
So we just wanted to follow back up on last week's meeting. If you remember, you kind of had that last minute compromise on the tax rate increase and settled on a 6% increase number, which works out to about a $258,000 transfer out of the Cross Street Bridge Reserve. And so what we've done is, in addition to the PD reuse number, which is $131,000, we took $125,000 out, which is the amount that directly offsets the Exchange Street Bike Ped capital project. And so it works for a total of $256,264 and an increase in the tax rate of 6.03%. That's the only item that has changed that actually affects the tax rate. There is, per discussion with Dan and Fred, we wanted to draw special attention to the debt service on the library that the Cross Street Bridge is going to pay for. So if you go down to the bottom of the budget in the capital, or in the debt retirement section, you can see we've just prorated
Would you remind me what line that is, Nicholas, please?
656 to 659.
Thank you.
We've just prorated that out based on the percentage that we're showing as Cross Street Bridge funds versus town general funds. I'm available here for any questions, concerns.
I have a question. So, for the warning items, I can see Article 3 now has the 256,264 from those two projects you mentioned, which is on line 112. And, you know, you might put, for this Article 3 on line 12, just so when people are looking for how these fit in, they can follow that. And likewise, you know, the property taxes, the 9,165,147. That doesn't match what's in the warning. Well, anyway, that's the article, main budget article. When it comes to the local option tax, the line 31, I'm just wondering why the amount in that warning item for the total town budget isn't the 1.3 million shown on line 31. Or
we talk about, if you're talking about the warning that I think you're talking about, we talk about Cross Street Bridge debt service.
No, I'm just, in the warning articles, shall the town vote the total budget, and that number was tracked in here, and the items that feed into that are what you mentioned, the two capital projects, PD reuse, and the Exchange Street Bike Ped. And it's just, in the local option money, that is the 131 is local option tax receipts, correct? So that's what actually comes in, and then aren't we expending from that, like these other line items in that budget article, so that it's, you know, 14 million whatever, to, including 9 million and whatever from the town taxes, and then the amount from the local option receipts. So shouldn't that amount on line 31 equal what's in that? Shouldn't it be the same number in the warning article as the?
Half the warning article.
Line 31.
Line 31.
I don't
Are you
think
talking
so.
about the $1,065,000?
Yeah, I don't know where that number
is
comes from.
that is
In the budget.
the college gift of $600,000. That is the option tax money of $1.3 million over budgeted debt service. So it's that $1,065,000, which will be that capital allocation, which basically frees up the money from the option taxes to be used in the general fund budget. So you're not going to find a line, you're going to find multiple lines that you have to back into that number here.
But one of the important receipts in Article 2 is that local option money.
Right.
Cross Street Bridge, you know. And shouldn't that be reflected like the other numbers are in the budget?
Because that 1.3 is related to the debt service on the bridge, correct?
We have other line items for the college gift agreement 600,000, and the debt service. Those are already in this. I'm just wondering, if we're looking for a receipt number that the voters authorize, we've got the taxes, we've got the other project money from, and why isn't that the same, match what's in line 31?
I mean, in terms of the actual language of the articles, I can't really speak to
No, I'm just talking about the
that.
dollar amount there, that
But it's
1,065,000.
the same methodology that's always, during my 3 years, been implemented. And that 1,065,000 is that calculation that I just gave, which is the,
This
Which
is
is the what?
just the local option tax receipts in excess of debt and maintenance requirements.
Correct.
So that is just the number over and above, debt and maintenance on the bridge.
so that's
So
the.
this is the
yeah.
extra money that we take out, that's called out specifically in that article.
We can use up to that amount of option tax and college gift in the general budget. Anything over that, if we make $2 million and, you know, the debt service stays the same, we put that into that reserve fund of the Cross Street Bridge, and we make sure that it's not touched because it, in theory, hasn't been authorized to be used.
I'm, again, the college gift agreement money is a line item, and the debt service is a line item. Aren't we counting on line 31 on 1.3 million to make our revenue that we needed to fund the revenue side of the budget?
Yes.
So shouldn't that number be 1.3?
No, because that's the money that's covered in the original bond agreement. That's the money that's taken out of the Cross Street Bridge to cover the debt and the maintenance on the bridge. And that is part of that original, vote, and so it doesn't have to go through an article every town meeting. What needs to go through the article, in the article every town meeting, is anything we take out of it over and above, debt and maintenance, which the total for this year is that 1,065,000. So the 1.3 is in the budget because it's.
It's shown as a revenue here.
Yes,
but
because.
we're not,
Right, it's.
that's the revenue.
Because
No,
what?
it's all revenue, but it's what we pull out to pay for the debt on the bridge.
Yeah.
The revenue is 1.9 million. This is just the amount that hasn't presumably been authorized already. That's the assumption here, is that the debt service, so if you took that 1,065,000, you added in the Cross Street Bridge debt service, you'd get 1.9 million.
Okay.
It's
No one else sees
confusing
what I.
to me.
No, this blew my
That's-
mind the first time I looked at this.
You know, you have an item that's local auction tax receipts.
Yep.
And what the accounting office, you tried to describe, the way it's set up for your accounting purposes, you put into that the college's gift money,
No,
and then pay out of that the debt service.
no.
Well, isn't,
So
Is that
you're
right or not?
saying the Cross Street Bridge Reserve, we put in that money? We have not for many years done that, because we've had these, we talk about it as Cross Street Bridge funds, but it has always, since I think 3 years after the bridge was built, hit the general fund first, and anything over what has been authorized, anything over this number, we transfer into. Yeah, yeah.
I just thought there was a revenue that we're showing, that we're counting on, that the voters are gonna see this budget spreadsheet, and it's a different number there, and it's just, I don't understand why the other line items track, but not this one, I still don't.
So think
Honestly.
about it this way, that 1.3 million is what we hope will bring in local option tax for the year, right? We put that in as a budget holder, yes?
We expect more than
Right.
that, don't we?
Yeah,
And we need, anything that we get in above that number,
goes into the
we
fund.
consider as extra and goes into the pot of money that we have available to pull from other projects. And we put that 1.3 in there, but the past few every year, I think, we've gotten more than that, right?
Past few years.
Yeah. So, that doesn't help at all, does it?
If we're gonna get 1.3 and some excess is gonna go into the fund, great. But what we need to account for is what we're asking the voters to, seems
Yeah,
to me.
and that's accounted for in here on different lines.
Okay,
Do you have the
Well-
line, so maybe it would be helpful to say what line numbers in the budget, though, that 1,065,000 comes from, right?
So what we need to know is what's the payment on the bridge at this point?
Down
under the debt
under the
service.
debt service.
And what's that payment? I think that might help Fred here.
Line what?
649 and 650.
So if you add those two, what do you get at? You get 7, 8, God, I can't see, 834?
Yeah.
834, 136.
Right.
Subtract 600 from that, 234. Add 234 to your 1,065,000, and you're at 1.3, Fred.
Should be.
Yep.
Yeah, you are.
Thanks, Brian, it's been.
All right.
That's excellent.
I'm glad someone, thank you.
So Heather was actually describing it very well, what it is. And-
Just not so that everybody could understand.
No, I was hoping you'd get there. Close. But and then our Article 3, Fred, will
Yeah,
be seeking extra for some capital.
So I know that 1,065,000 comes from line 112. Maybe it would just be helpful to know what other lines for sure total that amount.
Sure, we can break that up, absolutely.
And maybe just have that when we present at town meeting, so that we can point people exactly. I'm sure I could figure it out if I looked at it for a few
Okay.
minutes, but
Look
I also
that up.
didn't bring any reading glasses.
This is a small font.
I can't, for some reason, I can't get the warning to come up on the notice.
Oh,
on
you
my-
have to go, I think it got, the draft got revised from the
go
link
under the
in
additional documents thing.
So you may have to
You have to
close
go
out of your
into the
browser
packet
and-
itself,
Yeah.
because the link in the notes must have been an
Oh,
old
just
link.
to
Yeah.
update
It
it,
says
yeah.
draft 4,
Right.
although it's draft 3 on the
Okay,
document.
I'm good, I'm good.
And to point out what Nick said at the beginning with the, I was interested in breaking out the Ilsley money, that part of it's being paid for by the Cross Street Bridge Fund and part of it's being paid for by the increase in taxes.
Right.
And that's why I had it broken out there, so it was put together, and I thought it'd be important for the taxpayers to see that portion of the Cross Street Bridges funding, it's evident there.
Oh, so that would be one of the other lines? It's in that 1,065,000, right? And so that was
Oh.
towards the end, right? No?
No,
Not
that
the
is not.
Ilsley
Right,
money,
not
that's
that
not in
piece.
Oh,
there.
cause that's separate.
Right.
Okay,
Separate vote.
right, cause that's a
We-
separate, that was
The
a
way
separate
we've done it,
bond
we're
vote,
breaking out
separate-
different
yes.
votes.
So the 1,065,000 is the money of the extra receipt reserve that we have to put in the budget for other projects for this year.
Yes. Of what we anticipate on an average year to receive.
Yeah.
Other questions?
Clear as mud?
It's a lot clearer now than it has been for the last
Yeah, that's
couple
pretty
weeks to
good.
me.
I appreciate
And
that.
they sat with me twice. So,
Moving in the right direction.
So the estimated tax rate didn't get updated, or did?
It did.
It's there as
Mhm.
well. Let me just, if you open it up off the website, and I'm sorry, the link is broken there, but let me open it up
So
here.
do I need to go to a different link?
Just on the packet page of the website.
Okay.
And I'll open it up here and share it with the folks at home. This is the latest version reflecting discussions from last week, and I'll make it bigger. can see the number change at the bottom.
So there's a 6.03% is what,
Yeah,
with that.
so what's that take us to for tax rate?
6.03.
No,
No.
that's
the increase.
That's the increase.
Oh.
Oh,
Municipal
Scroll,
portion is
scroll up, it's at the
1.94.
top of that slide.
Over on the
Scroll
right.
to the right.
Suspenseful.
the 9 point.
So it's
Can't read it.
created
4.3.
by a little over 5 cents.
5 cents?
Right.
All right. Did you want to review the major drivers for one more time for those in the audience?
Sure, we can. Let me pull it up. This is the same document you saw in the beginning, but we can walk through it again
Yep.
if you want.
So employee benefits, we had an increase this year, a significant increase, right? And we know that that's insurance rates everywhere have increased significantly. So wages, of course, that is always, we have a lot of wonderful new town staff, and so that, as well as, of course, our normal cost of living and our CBA employees, our union employees, their agreed upon contract increases. Our capital improvements, based on all the projects that Emily is managing, many of them, great stuff happening in the town. The transfer to the equipment fund, Emily can speak a little more on that if we have any questions. And it looks like our temp seasonal part-time staff, it looks like for Parks and Rec and admin. We have increased needs throughout the town, right, for our Parks and Rec department. We know we have a really incredible program, and so we've realized that the staffing model that we've had, which is very slim, one person to maintain all grounds, is not realistic, and so we've been staffing a part-time person, a local high school student who's incredible and whose dream is to work for the town of Middlebury forever, and he's really dedicated when he's not in school, so we've been having him help us out. Looks like our principal payment on the police department, and then the cross street bridge interest as well. That's for our expenses.
And we do, just like we said in the first meeting, we did do some right sizing of some lines where historical trends were just far above what we had budgeted. That's spread out across the whole budget, so it's hard to pinpoint an exact line. But there was that intentional effort when we put this together.
Yep.
On that, I have one comment. On
Please.
123, certificate of compliance fees. You show it's blank, no amount coming in. And certificates of compliance happen not just when new buildings are built, but property transfers, refinancing. And I hope we're not saying there's gonna be no property transfers, no financing. I certainly hope some of them will be new buildings occupied in the Stonecrop project. So it seems you could put 3,000 or some number in there to track what it's done. And I know it's a small amount to reduce the amount by
Yeah,
raising by
think we-
taxes, but
yeah,
I
we
wanna knock
discussed
off
this
that point
before,
of
yeah.
3%.
About this last
Yeah.
week.
You're right,
This is
Fred.
something that
Yeah.
came from Karen based on trends that she's been seeing in the different funds. So we can definitely
We'll
put
add
that
that
in
in.
there, yeah.
So we are making a change to it?
Yeah, well,
Just,
research to figure out a
Yeah.
good faith number to put in.
And that is a revenue line, so we want to be cautious about if we're putting it in there, if it's not gonna come to fruition, but.
Okay. Other questions of the board before we get a public hearing, and I'm sure Victoria is gonna hit us up with some questions here, so. Bring it on, Victoria.
Well, as I said, being away, I'm trying to catch up a little bit. I guess just some questions on different lines. I noticed in a few places where consistently over the years it's been below budget, and now suddenly there's a big increase in budget. Planning and zoning and the library, this is, and I don't know whether it's additional people being hired or
Is a
Um,
particular line, Victoria?
160
Thank you.
and 281. And now there's a $28,500 increase, where it's been below budget for the years before. So I don't know if this is new personnel or.
I think I'm looking at the wrong thing, cause I see that we
281.
right-sized it. Oh, 281, thank you. Okay. And,
Salaries.
yeah, just a
Right.
salary that is different. We don't have any different staffing. We have some unionized employees there. It's our normal cost of living increase, and then the trustees do their normal increase for Dana, every year as well. There's nothing, no out of.
It's just such a big jump
Yeah,
suddenly.
nothing out of.
And the same in
Change.
planning and zoning.
So
Zoning,
I
I
see
don't
that
see-
on line 160 is 149.5 in the FY '25 budget, and the same number for
Yeah,
FY
we
'26.
we kept that the same, so.
It's no increase.
Yeah.
Right.
But again, under budget in the previous years. And with, your 63,000, 8 months into the year, are you going to hit the 149? I don't know,
I
it's
see your
just
point.
just something that caught my eye.
Oh, we did have, we
Happy
did
days.
have, in 24, we had one of our planning and zoning staff retired, and we hired somebody new in.
Oh,
There was a break in time.
Yeah,
I see,
Yeah.
okay,
So the payroll wouldn't have been
okay.
executed.
yeah.
It's actually halfway there, 6 months through the year. So it's looking like it's gonna hit that for FY '25.
Oh, I thought this was based on 8 months, not
It
6
says
months.
as of 12/31.
But the fiscal year is March 31st, right?
No.
No.
July.
Oh, it's
July
not?
1. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought it was, okay. Well, that changes things, doesn't it? I was just, line, where am I? Oh, what is a budgeted deficit? How does that work in the budget?
It's really a transfer in from the general fund balances, as I understand it.
I think Nick might be best
Yeah,
positioned to
it's
answer.
basically that we're budgeting for less money coming into the town than we're spending. And in past years, that has not materialized. We've been conservative enough with our budgeting that it hasn't manifested.
Uh-huh.
But you're budgeting for a drawdown of general fund balance. So it's money that we have sitting there that we've decided we could use that to offset the tax rate.
Okay. So what, so the 434,000 is the fund that's available?
It's not all of the fund, no. There's, at the end of last fiscal year, there was about 3 million, in our general fund balance.
Wow.
But
So that amount is what we have budgeted consistently across the years, each year,
Uh-huh.
But
just
some of
as
those
a
are funds that are
placeholder.
committed to other things, like, there's a downtown improvement district amount, there's a
The way that
a business development fund.
there are some items that are included in the 3 million figure, but a lot of those have their own funds in our accounting system, and they have their own fund balances. So
There's-
those numbers aren't included there.
But it doesn't include capital improvements, you said this afternoon.
Just the mic,
Right.
pick you up a little better, just so the folks at home can hear you.
The 3 million does not include capital improvements funds, or the equipment fund, or other,
Correct.
so,
This is our reserve that, we've always tried to figure out what's the guideline, how much we should hold in reserve, but it's so that if we have some major issue or something, the town should always have funds in reserve. And so we have always kept some in our general fund balance in reserve, and we budget for that, and we haven't been trying to grow it. been trying to keep it.
Given the extent of that fund and the history of not, in 1 year you did get 829,000, okay. And then the change in the budgeting you did to fully reflect costs as opposed to underestimating. I mean, can't that fund absorb some of that and help the tax rate a little? I mean, in theory, you shouldn't have to have any of that fund this year with the way you've budgeted.
Like, I think there's some needed for cash flow, for emergencies that come up.
Yeah.
Some towns have like Shelburne has a special provision. Select board can allocate that, commit that for rainy days. These days, rainy day funds takes on a new meaning with flood events and so forth.
Yeah, but 3
So-
million is, well, who knows?
I know, but
That's only less than a quarter of the budget.
Right.
And so if something major were to happen, basically the town needs to have reserves to pay its staff. And usually there's usually auditors provide some kind of guideline, right?
I haven't received a guideline on
Okay.
what that should be or what it,
Okay.
a range, but
So usually there's some kind of, how
Yeah.
much would you hold in reserves to operate the town,
Yeah.
if it didn't have any more like how long could you operate the town on that reserve? So I would be reluctant to spend that reserve unless we had some kind of, very clear picture of how much that would cover and if we actually think there's extra there.
and in years past, the way that we've budgeted revenues has been very conservative. And so we've cut up that part of the budget as well and really true sized it. So I think that that deficit is more likely to materialize this year than it has in years past. Not saying it's going to, but I think it is more likely to.
In the past, Kathleen has taken a look. She's sometimes made recommendations to transfer some of that general fund surplus to offset the tax rate, which we didn't do this year, but I'm assuming we can.
Well, yeah,
We
every year
did in
we've,
sorts, because we've projected a lot more interest income, which we haven't typically done.
So we've increased what we anticipate for revenue, which we may not see.
Yeah, I would be very cautious about dipping any further into that. When we look
I
at,
didn't mean in a major, but a penny on the tax rate, $100,000 out of 3 million?
But aren't we already doing,
we're
we're already
kind of-
estimating
we're
4
doing-
pennies?
I know, but,
yeah.
well, as I look back at the last years, 2 cents, 4 cents, half a cent.
One of the yes, and one of the challenges that we're running into is we're running up against a significant increase in healthcare costs.
Oh, I know.
Increases in insurance, increases in operating costs, and then the contractual arrangements with our staff so my hope was that we would at least budget that in to the tax rate, because we have a lot of, as much maintenance and projects as we've done in the last 10 years, and as great as the town looks, there's a lot of buried projects around town, and we have to make sure that we're prepared to participate so that we can be shovel-ready on projects like we've done in recent years, and been able to be very aggressive on getting grants and other support when it's available. And we've been able to do that because we had the money to pay for engineering and do other things. So
Well, I appreciate
think it's
it.
a responsible way to do it.
Yeah. It's just, when the school budget does its thing, it's gonna hurt a lot of people.
I've heard that a lot, and I
Yeah,
do.
I know, and it's a separate issue. Just a couple of, 209, information technology for, the Energy Committee, no.
Howdy.
I was just wondering what the this new, something new programming or something that we're?
Some items have been coded a little differently. We were finding that, you know, breaking it down by department didn't really make sense. And so there has been, and I don't have that list available.
Oh, it's not just a one?
It's not necessarily an increase. It could be pulling it from other lines.
Correct, we had it in other departments as well, and then we decided that, the finance office would house the IT costs for
Okay.
whatever reason.
I see,
Yeah.
okay. On 392 and ACUSI supplemental pay, what is that? I've never seen that
Yeah.
before.
So that is, let me just, oh, that's a new line, so that is, let me just look at it real quick here. Yes, so we have an Akuzi grant for an investigator, that covers, more than just our town. And the grant, the employee, Ruth, who's been doing that position, it's not a position that anyone desires. It is, Jason's here, he can speak on it too. But it is, you know, investigating, child sexual assaults and other unfavorable, you know, jobs. And she's retiring, and we've not had any luck hiring for it with the very small amount of money that the grant offers. So we decided that to make it a more appealing position, we would turn it into a full-time position. We have the grant fund still. The town would supplement with a small amount to make it full-time with benefits as well.
Oh,
So that's
okay.
what that is.
Thank you. And the service, in 404, the service contracts, that's a large increase over previous years. Is that pulling from different lines?
That is, I believe that was, Jason, that's for dispatch. And I know there was a reason for that you discussed at one of the budget meetings.
It's a software and hardware
Yes.
upgrade
Oh,
over 10 years.
okay. And the service charges on 592 for the rec program?
I gotta think about what that houses. Youth
It's just,
programs.
it was hundreds of dollars and now it's thousands.
Yeah, I think that was a right size one.
Yeah, I think so.
Because if you look at the FY
Oh, yes,
'24
what we've been
unaudited,
spending, yep,
we'd been severely under budgeting, I think,
yes.
whatever
that's-
comes out of that.
Okay.
If you look at the unaudited in, column F, it's 25,071.70. And we, you know, we're just fixing, I think, that.
Oh, okay.
I think that,
There
yeah, I
was-
think that at one of the earlier budget meetings, we had it, basically, we had the same amount, and I think Andy was like, looked at it and said, guys, you're spending over every year, let's, right, get that number up, so, we right-sized that.
And my last thing is, and obviously there's confusion about the local option tax and the different funds and money available, and the Ilsley bond, the 657 Ilsley bond interest, well, it was 326,000, now it's 164 in the last budget version, so the interest is coming out of.
There's two lines there. If you could look at,
657 and 659.
yes, if you add the two of those, it's the same number as what was in the prior one, but they've split it out in this particular one.
Just got prorated to show the cross street bridge portion versus the town portion, but it's the same number together.
Okay, so the interest on the Ilsley bond is coming out of the cross street, the option tax?
That
The May
that
bond vote
portion
in
of
the
it.
library specified, that split
Yeah.
between town general and.
5.8 million of it is coming out, is gonna be paid for by the Cross Street Bridge Fund.
5.8 million?
Right,
Well-
at 4 point,
No, hold on.
okay?
This is
Oh.
the split that was in the vote. Dan, if you look at the budget, then we have Article 3, the special vote.
Right.
So this is tracking the particular.
This is a half year, actually.
Well, the first year is just interest, and next year we'll have
Yeah, but this is
and
only
principal.
half,
so
this is
the-
only a half, we're not gonna borrow the money for a while, so I think this is only got half year, isn't it? Or is this the whole year?
Well, it's August of FY '26, so it's pretty
Okay.
early in the year, but it's just interest, the principal payment doesn't
Right,
start
no,
until.
we don't do a principal the first year.
Can you remind me,
But in our
what the
vote,
bond that was approved was,
The bond that was approved, 17 million, thereabouts.
right? But
And
the portion that,
there's a portion to be paid by taxes, a portion to be paid by fundraising,
right,
a portion to be paid by the local option taxes, and a portion that we anticipate to be paid by grants. The state has not granted us any money yet.
right.
So there's gonna be a special article in our vote to cover that. They have exceeded the fundraising goal, and, which was, to me, exceptionally amazing, given that when we talked about this for a number of years, even hiring somebody in to look at what our capacity as a community was, they had well undershot what they ended up achieving.
Mhm.
So, but that
Bond by
initial
taxes was how
bond by
much?
taxes was
4.5.
4.5 and 4 million by the local option tax.
Um,
And that-
Okay, so, okay. Well, given your earlier discussion about the articles and, it just, yeah, whatever clarity you can give to voters in March, so they really understand where the money is that's paying for what,
Yeah.
would be really helpful. Okay,
I
well, those
think
were
we're
my
finally
questions.
getting our head around it as a
Yeah,
board.
well, that's- yeah, I'm pretty confused. All right, well, thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you, Victoria. Is there anybody out watching that has a hand up or?
Looks like all folks related to.
No hand. Is there anybody out? Laura?
Hello, friends. First, I want to say how much I appreciate staff, our directors, you, and I know how hard it is to create this budget. So I just scan for fuel and electric to see how we're trending, because I'm curious about that. So I just did a quick scan on that. So I just wanted to ask you, for the town office line, and I'm looking at that, it's a big chunk, the electric there, and I'm wondering if a lot of buildings are ganged in that line, so I just wanted to ask you that.
Can you tell us the line?
All right, so if you go under town offices, let me find it again.
Municipal buildings? is that the
Municipal
one?
building,
Electricity, 231?
231.
Yeah.
Yeah,
20
so.
grand.
We just level funded it, from what it has been in the past.
Right, I understand it being level funded, but my question is, does that electric line item capture a lot of buildings, not just the town office? Or is
That
that
is
just the
just the
town
town
office?
office.
That is?
Yes.
Okay.
It's because there's no fossil fuels, it's all electrified for the heat.
Yeah, no, I understand that, but I don't see electric for some of the other buildings, so that's what made me wonder if other buildings are being kind of absorbed in that line. So that was just curious.
Yeah.
All right, anyway, you answered that. And then under library, so 316. Okay.
I think that has to do with the closing.
Yeah,
right?
so we have 316 and 317, so I know Obviously, for the library, because you're closing it, you reduce the budget for that. But not for heating fuel, 316? It's not a lot, but I'm just curious what
Yeah,
the
and they just
logic
level
was.
funded that again, and Dana is on, so maybe she can speak to that. But I expect that's due to our really unreliable
The
boiler
boiler.
that we currently have,
I think they're
and
So-
trying to be conservative.
not knowing what
And
that's gonna
we're
be until we
also-
move.
Okay.
We're also responsible for utilities in the Duclos building.
Dana, if you're
While we're
listening, I'm
there.
gonna promote you, if you'd like to
That's what I
comment on
wondered.
this.
So I wasn't sure how
I'm guessing
You're
it has to do
covering
with
those
utilities. in the
utility
Duclos
Hi
building.
expenses.
everyone,
Well,
it's Dana,
yeah.
can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, great. So, we worked with the bank to figure out roughly what the utilities would be. And it was about 17,000, for the year between electricity and heating fuel together. I can't remember exactly how those broke down. I just got them both to be 17 together. So Laura, it might not be that the heating fuel is gonna stay the same and electricity drops by 10,000. It's just the two of them together are what we need for when we're in the temporary space, if that makes sense.
Okay,
Once we're there for a few months, I can get back to you and let you know what the town, like how it's breaking out, what we're spending on fuel and electricity.
okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Does that account for fuel and electricity in our existing space, which was still required?
Say that again?
Did you hear that, Dana? Emily's comments?
Dana, does that account for the fuel and electricity in the existing building too?
I don't think so. Most of the building is gonna be gone by the time we start the fiscal year, so I can talk to a re-art company, but the short answer is no, it doesn't.
Okay. Anyway, I'm just looking at that. And then under police, we're actually trending well in reducing heating fuel because of the measures we've took, yay. So I'm glad to see that. So anyway, that's all.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else here for the budget discussion? Okay, there are no further comments regarding the draft FY '26 general fund budget. I'm going to call the public hearing closed as of 7:58. The select board needs to finalize the FY '26 budget at our January 28th meeting. So really appreciate the participation of those of you who did participate. One of the things, just remind me, is it further down, we need to talk about the warning, right? When do we have to finalize the warning,
The next
David?
meeting.
What's that?
The next meeting.
At the next meeting?
Yeah, if
Okay.
you're not ready to, yeah.
So if there's any alterations,
Anybody want to discuss the warning tonight? Any changes to it?
On the draft that you sent us today, David, on the second paragraph,
second, yes.
with respect to Articles 6, 7, 8, and 9, Article 6 is actually the evening meeting to transcend other business. I think you just want 7, 8, and 9.
Correct,
The
yeah.
hearing. And then last line of that paragraph, information on the bond proposal will be presented under Article 5. Article 5 is the tax payment dates. I think you mean Article 6 there.
Yeah,
And then
thank you for that.
should the amount to be raised by taxes equal the amount that is on this spreadsheet? Taxes?
Yeah, it should be equal to the, to what's on our budget.
$2,236 different, not a big one.
Yeah, but it ought to be accurate.
Put that in for this certificate of occupancy fees,
Yep.
say yourself.
Good call.
Okay, any other thoughts on the on the warning? All right, then we're gonna move on to number 8. I believe.
We're gonna finalize, sorry, Brian, we're gonna finalize that warning at the next meeting.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I need to have it in the paper the next day after that, so, at the latest.
Will be good.
Yeah.
I guess I have just one other comment on
Okay.
Article 7 and 8. Those are bare of an article, all the things that are listed in them. And, you know, when we vote on a water tank or a library budget, we just say the amount of money that we're bonding for and the estimated project cost for the library project or for the tank. We don't list all the doors and, you know, pieces and parts of it. So both 7 and 8 could be simplified. And in fact, they could be combined. And, you know, we don't list all the items. We don't, the wastewater project, for example, has an added garage and a truck scale. And I just, I'm sure our moderator can read all of that at the town meeting, but it seems unnecessary.
Yep.
We vote almost
did
all the
share
other
it with
projects
her
just
also.
by
Mhm.
project name, and then the presentation shows all the stuff that's in.
Mhm.
I would keep 7 and 8 separate.
I
would not combine
Okay.
it.
I would not combine anything with the.
We could just simplify them, but keep them
Because
separated.
the,
Mhm.
And the 50, do you want to keep 50, or do you want to use the amount that we talked about in the minutes earlier?
Should be the amount of the budget.
49, something like that, yeah.
40.
9,850 or
49, 850 or whatever. All right.
Laura wants to.
Okay, other thoughts on it?
Laura's got.
Laura?
So I know that Acorn Food Hub has been gathering signatures for a request for funds. How does that get incorporated if they are successful in getting the number of signatures that they're?
If they get it in, it'll have to go to the voters, it'll be added to the warning, it'll be a separate vote.
The deadline to that is prior to the next select board meeting, so we'll know the outcome of their petition.
So this isn't final yet, so it might, so there might be one more article
Mhm.
potentially,
Depending on
okay,
the outcome of their petition.
Yep.
thank you.
Mechanically, don't we have to get the warning in the newspaper by the,
Following,
The next morning,
Yeah.
yeah, after the meeting.
that's the
So
deadline
if
for the
we're-
paper.
Mhm.
going to be changing it Tuesday night?
They stay and
Change it.
put it together to get to the paper.
Okay.
We
I
do
mean,
it,
the
and we
changes-
get
the
it
changes
to
you're
the
referencing
paper in the
now
morning,
will
yeah.
make,
Okay.
recirculate, but.
so if you have changes that you would like to make, now would be
Better
a
do
good
it
time.
before next,
Please
yes,
do.
thank you.
Share those.
Please, that would be great.
And like I said, we'll have the outcome for the petition if we have to add that in.
Okay. Are we done with the budget?
Yep, there's no action for this evening.
Okay. Middlebury Land Trust, letter of support.
Yes, they are.
Is she,
Yep,
is she on?
yeah, let me promote her. We have
Okay.
Erica. Erica, I'm gonna promote you and allow you to talk, so. There you go, Erica. I think you just unmute yourself and. There we go.
Hello there. Can you guys hear me?
Yep, yep.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, great. I will be brief here. I don't think I've met many of you in person, but my name's Erica Harris. I've been on staff at MALT for coming on 2 years, and I'm here to represent Jamie, Horton, and myself, asking for the town to sign onto a letter of support for a grant we're in the process of applying for. This grant is from the state. It's through something called the Recreational Trails Program, and it would provide, we're gonna ask for $50,000 to essentially rehab all of the surface and the railing on a boardwalk in Otterview Park, which is a parcel of land owned by MALT and half of it is in Middlebury, half of it is in Weybridge. So I went to the town of Weybridge last week to ask for their support on a similar letter. We're not asking the town to commit to anything other than just acknowledging that this is an important park to the community and an important resource. The boardwalk in particular is really unique because it is an accessible feature. So anyone, little kids, folks with mobility challenges can, if they can get themselves down the trail, which is pretty evenly graded, they can get out onto this boardwalk and interact with a really unique wetland environment. It wouldn't be ecologically smart to walk around in that wetland. So this is a way to still see those species, plant and animal species. The Otter Creek Audubon Society does monthly wildlife walks there, documents the birds and the wildlife that they see. So this is just, it's a resource that's really important to MALT, important to a lot of folks in Middlebury and Weybridge, and we are just hoping to get the support of the select board in order to submit with that application and hopefully get the funding to move ahead. Happy to answer any questions.
I think you had us at hello, Erica.
Okay.
Pleasure of the board.
I'll move to approve the draft letter of support from the select board to the Middlebury Area Land Trust Grant application to the state of Vermont.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, those opposed?
Do we have a copy of the letter we can sign?
I think we do. If not, we will.
Yes, we will.
Stonecrop.
I just need to know if I've got to come back.
Thank
to
you,
sign
Erica. We'll get it all signed for you.
Wonderful.
Thanks, Erica.
Okay, I really appreciate that. Thank you all, and welcome to you, Mark. I look forward to hopefully meeting and chatting with you soon.
Do you have it? I'm sure I do. Thanks so much, Erica. All right.
Zeke on remote?
Right, yes, he is.
He is.
Zeke, bear with me 1 second. I'm going to promote you.
There
There
it
you
is.
go.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, Zeke.
Can you all hear me?
No, we
can
can't
hear
see
you.
you yet though, Zeke.
Yeah, I was thinking about it. It might not want me to be seen tonight. Oh, there it is. Long time no see, everybody. Jen, you want me to kick this off, or would you like to?
No, go for it. Thank you.
Two things tonight. One is I think you've got a motion before you to approve the town manager, whether that's Tom or Mark tomorrow. I actually don't know. And Mark, I don't know where you are on my screen here, but good to meet you. To approve to authorize the town manager to sign our community development block grant agreement. That has come before you all many times. That was the last hanging tail on our funding stack when we last talked about a month ago or 2 months ago maybe. The Vermont Community Development Program turned that grant agreement around, and Jen can give an update on if David is taking a look at it. But this is just an authorization to sign that CDBG award from now almost a year and a half ago. So the second one is one extra name for a road within the community. Approval of a name. So hopefully 2 quick easy things there.
Does someone have a copy of that resolution?
Read it out loud. Correct?
Yeah, so there's 2 motions for them to make with regard to the grant documents. One is for that form that Zeke just described, and that motion should sound like whereas. And we should read all through it. That's not what it said in the staff memo, but that's how it should be, I believe.
So if we can go through and I think Jen's requesting to read it out loud.
Yeah, that's how we always did it with Kathleen with those. Do you disagree with that?
I don't disagree.
So, the grant agreement resolution for a single grantee is whereas the town has applied for funding under the Vermont Community Development Program as provided for in 10 VSA Chapter 29 and has received an award of funds under said provisions. And whereas the Agency of Commerce and Community Development has tendered a grant agreement number 07110-IG-2022 Middlebury to this municipality for said funding. Now therefore be it resolved as follows, that the legislative body of this municipality accepts and agrees to the terms and conditions of said grant agreement. That Mark Prohensky, town manager, is hereby designated as the person with overall administrative responsibility for the Vermont Community Development Program activities related to this grant agreement. And then Mark Prohensky, the town manager, is either the chief executive officer as defined by 10 VSA section 683 subchapter 8, or is the town manager, the city manager, or the town administrator hereby designated as the authorizing official to execute the grant agreement and other such documents as may be necessary to secure these funds. And it has not passed yet because we need to vote to pass it. But it will be on the 14th day of January 2025, signed by the legislative body.
You need a motion in addition.
Pleasure of the board, yes, please.
I'll move to approve resolution form PM-1, assigning administrative responsibility and authorizing authority for the VCDP grant number 07110-IG-2022 to town manager Mark Prohensky.
Second.
Oh, give it to Fred.
That was a
That's
beautiful
amazing.
tie right
Go
there.
ahead, Fred, you can have it. Give it to Fred.
All in favor?
Aye. I further-
Resounding yes.
Yay.
Do we have to do, we have to
Thank
wait
you
on
all,
the
and Mark, I don't know if this is your first authorized act, but much appreciated from Kathleen and everybody at the select board and to you as well, Mark. So thank you, everybody.
Look at that, he comes to town and he's already ushering in more housing.
Just to,
Passing notes.
Zeke, before you jet, real quick, I think Jen, the second motion also needs.
Yeah, we had a second motion, somewhat duplicative, but better safe than sorry.
I'll move to authorize that Mark Prohensky, town manager, to approve the VCDP CDPG grant agreement number 07110-IG-2022 Middlebury-14 Stonecrop Meadows and associated loan documents, subject to review and amendment by the town attorney.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 I have a question for Zeke on this big attachment, 38-page attachment to this. On page 3 of that, it says you're serving 12 low to moderate income persons. Is that right?
So the way the community development block grant works is it is a two-part award, and each part has to have its own separate state and national objective. And the national objective is to support families that make less than 80% of area median income. And so in the first phase, which is $1 million to support the infrastructure construction, the national objective is 6 of the first 45 homes that are going to be sold to families that make less than 80% of area median income. The assumption is the average household size on those will be about 2 people, so 6 homes, 12 individuals. I'm not looking at the document right now. The second part of the award, the $250,000 to the low-income housing tax credit building, is going to serve another 28 families, and I believe that is about another 50-something, high 40s or 50-something LMI individuals. So those are like a small subset of this community that this award is specifically targeted to, and it's the articulated LMI, lower moderate income, national objective.
Good. It sounded like a lot of money for 12. Thank you for expanding that.
Yeah, and it's not lost on anybody at the state when they make these awards what this infrastructure is also leveraging community-wide. But they have to find the specific LMI national and state objectives to state as the deliverables for this phase of the project. So if anything, it is a recognition and a faith in the town of Middlebury and in us at Summit that we are leveraging this to build a lot more, which is already coming to fruition.
And I just, on page 17 of this, the summary of the funding sources, 10.2 million federal funds, 10.8 million state local funds. It's just an enormous amount of support for this project.
And even that is in the narrowly defined homes that are just, that we just articulated. This is what we're breaking ground on now is a $52 million project to build the first 80 units and the infrastructure to support the first about 170. So yeah, we're underway, as many in the town know. We're not the quietest neighbors right now, but we're underway and we're about to make a really big impact.
It's really nice to see it out there. There's a whole bunch of excavators out there, all going at the same time.
Yeah,
really looks great.
Yep, the team has been great out there. I was down this morning and it's fun to see the progress. Yeah.
Look forward to catching up. I think the town and Gowan would love to hear an update at some point too. See, I got approached on a little update on it, so maybe we get together.
Yeah, the town what? Sorry, I didn't hear you there,
The
Brian.
town and Gowan, it's a local group, Middlebury MALT.
Is that why you're not there?
So I'll update you on it.
We do also have the road naming, just a housekeeping measure. This is the memo from the Beth Dow, our E911 coordinator, is included in the packet. It's just a follow-up from the larger conversation back in the summer. This is the westernmost roadway that I think there was some more discussions that needed to take place. And Zeke, if you can add to that, just the reasoning for coming back for it.
Yeah, we originally thought that it wasn't going to be a named road, but Beth, in her conversations with the folks at the state and the E911 group, decided that this is a road that doesn't need to be named. So we're adding one road name. So it'll be privately owned by the HOA lane, not adding anything that would be town property or naming town property. But this will be an HOA lane that for addressing purposes we need to name.
Thanks, Zeke.
Yeah.
Any questions for the board on that? Pass this over with it. If there's not, pleasure of the board.
Move approval of the name.
Want to move to?
Brevity. All right.
I move to approve.
You read everything except for this part of it.
You read the whole thing. You read 38 pages there and you don't read that.
It's too long a silence.
Too easy.
Moved and seconded.
Moved and seconded to approve the Stonecrop Seton Lane Road. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, hey.
Thanks, Jared.
So good to see.
Thank you, Zeke.
Easiest thing I'll do all week.
Well, thank you all. I really appreciate it.
Okay.
Take care.
Let's see, 10 is getting moved, so we're ready for you, Emily.
Nice. You want me to do it?
Go for it.
Okay. Excuse me. So here for a couple items. I'm here to talk about 11A and 11B. 11A is the purchase of a new portable generator for the wastewater department. So we came before you folks about a year and a half ago to purchase a new portable generator for the wastewater department. That's to replace the generators that the town bought Army surplus sometime between 1977 and 1979. So you've gotten your money out of those generators. So the one that we bought in 2023 is a diesel-powered generator, and it's also multi-voltage, so we can use it on any of our pump stations. We waited to come back and ask for the purchase of another one to replace the old ones because we actually wanted to get some runtime with that one and run it on our pump stations and make sure we were happy with the capabilities of it. We have in the last year been using it. We've been very happy with the capabilities, so we would like to purchase a second one to go along with it. The Milton Cat is willing to sell us another one out of the exact same model, so we'll have matching models out of their rental fleet. They are also willing to sell it for the exact same price they sold it for in the summer of 2023. So that is why we have presented that to the Infrastructure Committee. The Infrastructure Committee approved that, and we do have the money in the equipment budget. And the money was budgeted in the equipment budget. So we're just coming to you for final approval to spend that $42,000 out of the equipment budget to buy another diesel generator for the wastewater department.
I'll move to approve the purchase by the Department of Public Works for a CAT QAS 45 generator from Milton Cat for $42,000.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions, comments? Hearing none. Seeing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Okay, next item is 11B, wastewater pump station telemetry. This is for telemetry for two of our pump stations. The pump station that is on 125 that serves a lot of the college properties, and the pump station that is down here on Bakery Lane. Those are older pump stations that do not have telemetry. The only thing they have is they have old off-the-shelf Radio Shack auto dialers that in the event, basically it gives you an alarm, but it doesn't really tell you what's going on. And they're very unreliable. What is driving this is about 4 weeks ago when we had a heavy rainstorm, I went down to check on the 125 pump station and found that the control panel had been knocked out, and we had not gotten a dial out, and I was able to catch that one about 3 inches before it overflowed the hatch. And that one and Bakery Lane are two that get enough use that we're very concerned that without a reliable method to have telemetry, we're going to have an issue there someday, and it's going to be in a fairly public place. And it's in a place, both of those are the 125 is right near a wetland, the one on Bakery Lane is right near a river. So they're also both in sensitive locations. The new technology that's out now that we're switching to is actually a cellular-based technology. So it's much more reliable than the old auto dialers and even the radios that most of our pump stations are on. So this item for $10,002.80 would get us two cellular setups, one for the 125 and one for the Bakery Lane, and would allow us to have remote telemetry on those pump stations and get the alarm dial outs to our pager, just like all of our other pump stations in the event anything is wrong.
I'll move to approve the contract with Champlin Associates for the installation of an upgraded remote telemetry, is that right, system,
Yep.
for $10,002.80.
Second. Oh, you can give it to Fred.
I have a question.
No, I think you were fast.
Moved and seconded. Yes, questions, comments?
Where's the money coming from?
Who's budgeted, wasn't it?
Who's budgeted?
Capital.
Yep.
Sewer cap.
Does this just alert you, or does it keep track of the health of the pump station?
No, it keeps track of runtime hours. It keeps track of pump cycles. We can go on it both on a phone or on a computer and see exactly what's going on. And then in the event we get a high alarm, it'll actually, multiple, you can program it for whatever you want. So if the pumps don't start, if you get high alarms, if you get low alarms, any kind of an issue, it hits the pager, and we actually just take our cell phone that whoever the on-call person is, and you dial it up, and you can see exactly what's wrong with the pump station and run out to fix it. It's the technology that we're switching to. We have it on our Seymour Street pump station and our Halliday Road pump station, and it's been really fantastic to work with, because all the other old radio ones are still, if you get an alarm on that, you usually drive to the plant to get all your data. These you can actually, from wherever you are, look at it on a phone, and a lot of times go directly there, and you don't even have to go down to the treatment plant before you start your repair or service. So,
great.
Yeah.
Don't you love these quotes?
Yeah.
$1.40.
Yeah.
Yep.
Means they really shaved
Oh,
that last
man.
little bit. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you.
Well, easy.
Moving on, I skipped over the project updates, but I figure you can all read them in the packet easily enough, but if you do have questions, let me know. Industrial Park Water Redundancy Engineering Agreement. I asked Otter Creek Engineering to provide us a preliminary engineering proposal cost for a line to provide redundancy out to the industrial park. This was an area that was recognized in the asset management plan as a high priority. We've had a number of breaks along Exchange Street, and given the usage in that area, we need to find some immediate solutions and then some also long-term solutions. So my thought was to look into running a line. We have a gravity sewer line that runs parallel to the rail on the west side of Agrimark. My thought was to run a water line parallel to that. So it would be a slightly additional easement, but within that same corridor. And that way we could connect Catamount Park up to Pond Lane, which would provide redundancy that way. That would allow us to work on the section of line within Exchange Street itself that has had a number of issues. And it would also help, it's sort of a three-phase project in my brain. This would be phase 1, Exchange Street could be phase 2, and then, or alternately, depending on the timeline of the Exchange Street roundabout, I had already asked V-Trans to include a sleeve with that roundabout installation, so that if we do pursue a line coming from Happy Valley to provide redundancy that way, it would sort of loop that whole area together. But this would also provide an internal loop for a large section of that neighborhood.
Sweet.
So this would solve a lot of the problems with when we have the leak out there, that you'll now have a line to back it up.
It would definitely help. Yeah, I asked for some valve study information in this also to see if we can add some pressure relief valves or air actuators in that area to help with some of our concerns. It would help. A lot of our issues come from the feed between Catamount and Manelli. And so it would allow us to backfeed that section of it if we do have a break, and it would also allow us a replacement in that section. So I think, it's preliminary engineering. So one of the one of the concerns that's been raised is the soils and how our ductile iron is reacting with the soils. And so I do have soil borings built into this proposal also, to do some studies out there just to see.
Has that gravity sewer been pretty good?
I don't think we've had issues on that section.
No, it's the main industrial line. Generally, there have not been issues on that
Yeah.
line. Matter of fact, we started reclaiming that right away. It's been a number of years since we were out cutting and clearing that right away, so we got started on that again this fall, and actually found there's some fairly significant trees up in it.
Yeah.
But no, that gravity line, that shows you how long it's been since we've had to go out and do maintenance.
That's great.
It's in good shape. They
Yeah.
put manholes while they're out there and found it to be in good shape. Yep.
Yeah, cool.
And I believe it's a fairly decently sized right of way with the sewer line too. Yep.
Cool.
I'll move to approve the preliminary engineering agreement with Otter Creek Engineering for $37,000.
Second.
Comments or questions? This is basically what you were sharing with me when we did the wastewater treatment tour, where it will cover it replaces just clarifying for everybody, it replaces the concept of doing a loop through Happy Valley Road.
it could be in addition to that. I mean, I don't know, it's preliminary engineering, so I think we can investigate different avenues. My concern with immediately going to the Happy Valley route is that that roundabout is 3 to 4 years out.
Wait a second, do you have knowledge that we don't? Is it that close?
Yeah.
You think it's coming in that close?
I mean, it's in V-Trans right away, and that's the 60% level, and so that's usually a 3-year time frame to get it to the finish line.
I think you just made Brian's night. He might hold you to that.
Only since 2004.
No.
So, I think it would provide some relief, potentially.
Okay, and it's, okay, great. It's at least a huge jump forward in our capacity to provide services to those guys out there.
Yep.
Excellent.
Well, this is just the preliminary engineering.
I understand.
Yeah.
But conceptually,
It's something happening.
if it works, it would move us
Yeah.
Yes,
ahead
it
significantly.
definitely gets us moving in a positive direction out there.
Make a bunch of
But
businesses,
it's
right?
still, you know,
Well, it's years out.
we'll get pricing.
It's effort in the right
Pricing.
direction.
Yeah.
Heather.
It gets us a cost, and it gets us able to be in the queue for funding
Yes.
for actual construction.
Yes.
Awesome.
Understood.
It's definitely worth doing, but it doesn't mean that it's,
Yes.
that we're gonna do it.
And it doesn't immediately fix a problem.
You must have
But
never
the
gone
problem is-
shopping with my wife.
But part of the problem is, you know, like, as you know, when we get breaks on that line, there's no water out there, and so we can't fix that line unless we can get water out there, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Okay, one quick question before we move on to the next. Well, we're talking about that area, the sidewalk. Just, one of the articles is to shift some money for the sidewalk. Where are we at on, do you know where we're at on getting the bid packet out?
For the Exchange Street sidewalk?
Yes.
No, I don't know. So the last I heard is that V-Trans has not signed, I'm assuming it's their right-of-way commitment. So, Addison County Regional Planning was waiting on that.
Hey, Dave, can you check on that? I'll call Joe Flynn if these guys are not gonna do anything. It's ridiculous.
I recently met with Andrew LaRoe and offered to take the sidewalk off of their plate if it would help.
If they're too busy to get it done, we'll get it done ourselves.
He said that it might help if we took that approach, so I can reach out to them.
I mean, really, this is getting to be to the point of absurd.
It's ridiculous, yeah.
Okay, on to vehicles.
Vehicles, so we put out bids for 2 different trucks, but one of them is a body and a truck, and the other one is just a truck. So Class 3 truck, we got 3 bids from local vendors. The low bid was from Formula Ford for $74,410. We had budgeted $91,000 for that vehicle in the FY25 budget.
Class 3 is just a big
It's like
pickup
an
truck, right?
like an F-150.
Right.
Can you believe they're getting that expensive?
Yeah, yes.
Oh, it's not even funny.
That's with our municipal discount.
Do you wanna do a motion on that, first, before we go to the Class 8 truck?
Whatever your preference.
Let's do them one at a time, please. Yeah.
So I'll move to approve the purchase of a Class 3 truck from Formula Ford for $74,410.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
So the next one is the Class 8 body build. We received 2 bids, but one of them included the body and the truck in their bid, so it was significantly over. But the The one that we would like to approve is from, is it Viking Sieves? Is that how you say it?
I think that's what we decided last week.
For
Close enough.
$117,300.
So the Class 8 truck is like a plow truck, like a dump truck.
Single axle.
Yeah. Is it a
single?
That must be a double axle.
Might be a double.
I would guess that was a double axle.
Okay, thanks.
They're big trucks.
You're amazing.
We won't
I
get,
know why,
we
but I
won't
guess
get it
you're
for
amazing.
2 years.
So, the HP Fairfield bid was for the body and the truck?
Yeah, but they put it all in one bid form.
But the combination's $20,000 cheaper, but it doesn't include the trade-in. Okay. Interesting. I get that they didn't
And there was
follow,
something,
I get that they didn't follow the format, but
Yeah.
it seems like a cheaper truck.
But it
So
had something
they
to
are, they're out of state,
Okay?
compared to the other two, which are local companies. If we have an issue,
Yep.
we would have to go all the
Yep.
way to New Hampshire to get it addressed. So that margin disappears pretty quickly.
Okay.
The other thing is didn't Dave talk about, the RR Charlevoix truck is a
Western Star, which is
And-
what we have.
Which is what we have, and it keeps the
Same
same kind
frame.
of truck, same kind of parts, same, you know.
Okay.
Easier for the shop guys.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'd
Very
move to
good.
approve the purchase of a Class 8 truck, or Charlevoix, for $150,100. We'll buy the truck first and then body second?
Sure.
Principal?
Sure.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? How about that body?
I move to approve the purchase of the Class 8 body from Viking Sieves for $117,300.
Second.
Questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Moving on.
Bank stabilization.
Bank stabilization, so this has been a battle to get to this point. But we received a grant from USDA to perform further efforts in the river, East Middlebury. This is all dating back to the July 2023 storm event. And so they have provided 100% funding based on our estimate to make the repairs to the flood wall and also continue the effort which we started after the flood event of stabilizing the slope at 12 Gristmill. So I had to get a little bit more engineering done for the project to get it out to bid. This grant has a hard stop of October on it for work in the river, and that's as far as they would extend the grant.
Whoa.
So I'm hoping to get this moving quickly so we can get it out to bid. I mean, the project's pretty much designed, it's just getting the final package put together. And then they'd be assisting in the actual bid award.
Do you think you've got people to do the work next summer? This summer?
I hope so, people are getting busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can get it out in time.
Right.
So,
Let's
I think-
move
I
on.
mean, they're
wanna get that
limited-
bid out for the sidewalk.
They're
Yeah.
limited for the in-stream work, they can only work within the July to October window, so.
Right. Yes.
I move to approve the proposed agreement with SLR Consulting for bank stabilization repairs along the Middlebury River for $20,000.
Second.
Seconded. Any questions or comments? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
The next item, also sort of dating back to the July, August flooding, we had started working with the property of 52 Aussie Road to look into a property buyout on that parcel. That is one of our access points, and it is the Aussie Road berm, which was originally constructed in the 80s with Army Corps funding, I think. And then the town has since taken it over and reinforced it with the flood resiliency project. So it's the parcel there. We went through the phase 1 ESA working with regional planning. And so now we're sort of at the point where we need to make a decision as a town if we want to move the buyout forward or if we want to pull back. My only concern is that the next step would be a phase 2 ESA, which does the exploratory soil investigations, and it has been an active junkyard in recent history. The town could enter into the Ballot program, which protects the town from having future costs incurred related to past practice. Residents aren't able to get that same funding, or that they don't have that option available. So I think the benefit to pursuing it is that we could get this parcel cleaned up. The buildings would have to be removed, similar to the buyout that we're doing at 83 Court Street. The buildings would have to be removed, and it would have to be forever green space. But it could be a nice river access, it could become a park, it could be, those sorts of things. But there is the potential for soil contamination.
So, didn't you just say we're protected?
With the Ballot program, that's the same program that we entered for the Maverick gas station purchase.
Right. Okay.
So we as the municipality would have that protection for previous usage. And so we could potentially get the site cleaned up.
Has anything been done to that site? Does it still look like it?
He has been actively hauling everything off of the site. I was out there recently, and it actually looked really good.
Wow.
Compared to 2 years ago. Yeah,
Google
no,
Maps is not kind.
he's hauled a lot of material out of there.
Can I ask a question about the Ballot program? On the second page of the two-part information about the Ballot program, it says access to funds, enrollment in the Ballot program provides access to revolving loan funds. So this isn't a grant to clean up the property, this is a loan? Is that right?
I don't entirely know the answer to that, Fred. In my experience, the municipality is not financially responsible for it.
Well, I think the proposed motion of having you investigate this, investigate the buyout, apply for the money if we can through, I guess it's Vermont Emergency Management.
Yeah, I think, I get, well,
it's worth exploring. I think in the infrastructure committee meeting, there was strong support by, particularly from Luther Tenney and people who lived in that area of East Middlebury. Everybody seems to want it cleaned up for sure, but access to the river in the future, not just for what we have to do when there's debris in the river we have to clean out, which we have an easement for, but for recreational access.
Yep.
Would be a real, it comes into the head of the burn that a lot of people in East Middlebury use. And so ultimately that could be a great end for this. I just, estimating that what's going to be able to clean up, is it a loan or a grant? What's involved in the property acquisition and the demolition? And I don't know, at some point, if the town has to move closer to this, typically we talk about property acquisition things in executive session to negotiate that, but we need the information on what we're getting into, I think.
I think there's still a lot of steps involved, but I was recently contacted by the state, and they were asking if we were still interested, and I didn't want to say yes or no until we circled back, because I know unless, if we are truly going to pursue it, then the next step, I think, is the Ballot program and the phase 2 ESA. But I would not want to request the phase 2 ESA if the town's going to walk away from it, and then it lists the property as contaminated, and the property owner gets that label without the assistance. So I'd rather just either leave it as is, or if we continue to look into it. I mean, all of this said, I don't know how much the buyout program is even going to have left in it once these buyouts actually happen too.
But without authorizing you to go forward, we won't know any of that, so agree with Fred that, giving you the go-ahead to continue to pursue it,
Yeah,
because it would
100%.
appear to be a worthwhile venture to clean that up and to provide access. I don't see a downside. Does anybody?
It's a pretty incredible spot.
There was
Yeah.
some issues in towns hit by flooding about the reduction in the grand list from buyouts. I just checked, it's got a value of $130,000 on the
Entire
ground.
property's in the floodplain.
Yeah.
It's not something we can have.
They asked if there was any downside, and I said, yes, some towns didn't want to have everything bought out and undeveloped.
We did
Nobody's
talk
gonna buy a
about that
brownfield,
in
though.
infrastructure, that
Yeah.
you do lose, you
Yeah.
know,
Right.
grand
And that was
list.
one of our issues with the one on Court Street.
Right.
On the other hand, the adjoining properties being next to cleaned up recreation land will appreciate in value.
Yeah, sure.
Some.
Emily, does it, when you have to leave it in as green space in perpetuity, can you have a parking lot on it? Or is it, like?
We might be able to do a pervious, like what would be more considered a pervious parking lot? I would have to look into that. I know where you're not allowed to do like stormwater treatment, there's pretty strict regulations. for
My only
those.
concern is it's quite a distance from Ozzy Road to the actual river, and if it's public but people can't get in there or have a place to park, you know what I mean, like, is
Right.
it really?
Just a park for neighbors if there's no
Right,
access. Yeah.
Right, and is it really then a public space because you can't go and,
Good
you
point.
can walk
You-
to it?
So
right?
you might be able to, right now, there's a lot of gravel parking within it. That, obviously, if we had to do a major soil cleanup, that would probably have to go, but you might be able to keep what's there and just stabilize it.
Anybody
I-
care to
I'm-
make a motion?
I'll move to recommend the Department of Public Works proceed in working to access funds for potential cleanup of the property at 52 Ozzy Road.
Second.
Okay. I think we've given a bunch of guidance, that, those things, questions that we have, and would influence our decision moving forward. So, everybody's in support, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. All right. Was there anything else that you wanted to call to our attention while you have the floor?
No, I just have a few more things on
here
the
for
agenda.
12.
We have some bond documents that we have to go through the
Oh, that's
procedure.
Emily.
Yeah.
I have my pillow in the hallway. I don't know what level you want from me for this part of the discussion, but we have three potential bond items on the town meeting day agenda. It's Adams Acres Stormwater Treatment Project, which is the Boardman Street, Wilson, and what's the third one? Wilson?
Don't look at me, because I can't even remember any of the street names.
Willow.
Thank you. I knew it was a W. So we are a part of that stormwater agreement because we own the roads, and we have received a grant from V-Trans, but also a $1 million state revolving fund from Clean Water Program. In order to receive that $1 million, we need a positive bond vote. So that's why that one is on. That's why we have that
And so that's
declaration.
a wash, no tax implication.
It would be, so I have it included in the capital funding under stormwater improvements.
Yep.
It's in there. The town owns about 12 to 13% of the impervious. And so the way we're working it out is all of the property, the business owners are forming an HOA, and they'll each pay their percentage of the impervious, and then the town's on the hook for our percentage. So of
An
the.
SOA, stormwater.
Hmm?
Not a home association. Anyways.
You can talk to our town attorney about what it's called. That's what they've all been called in my stormwater experience. But, so the town won't be fiscally responsible for the entire cost of the project. The V-Trans grant does also include getting the design up to the construction level.
Cool.
The Rogers Road item is the Rogers Road pump station upgrades. We have that one currently in design. We received $2 million from Clean Water. SRF, again, requires a positive bond vote to show community support to move it forward. That project will be similar to the Halliday Road pump station that was just completed last summer. It would be upgrading the dry pit into a wet well, which will increase capacity, and also including a generator, on-site generator, to help our wastewater team out in storm events. That's a pretty large pump station in town. So, and actually all of Halliday goes to Rogers Road. Along
It's a
with
critical one. Whenever the power goes out there, we run.
That doesn't have a generator on it?
No, that's tow line. Rogers Road is still one of the ones that we have to tow against.
It will have a generator with this?
With this,
With this, it will get.
How much did Halliday Road? how
Total?
much did- Yeah.
763,000,
And this
so,
one's-
give or take. It was somewhere right around there.
And this one's 2 million, or are we building,
This one is more complicated.
It's in the middle.
twice as, all three times as
It's-
complicated?
It's in a wetland.
Okay.
We have significant parcel restrictions, so the original design that we had proposed, we were hoping to get an easement from the adjoining property owner. They refused to give the town an easement, so we've had to kind of reconfigure it and get a little more creative with how we are
And this is
doing
the
it.
first one we've actually ever bonded for, right?
No.
No, we bonded for one of these?
Bonded for all of them, haven't we?
No, last one, so Halliday Road was paid out of ARPA
Oh,
funds
right,
for
yeah.
the
Yeah,
wastewater.
that's
The
I
was it
think-
Seminary Street?
Seminary, I think, so,
The one that goes out, not Washington Street, but the other street that we did like 2 or 3 years ago.
You mean when,
Seymour. I mean, no, Seminary Street
Seminary Street.
extension,
Yeah, Seminary
and then
Street's close.
Painter and
Halpin are all built at the
Halpin,
same time.
yeah.
Oh, okay. But didn't we bond for those as well? Cause we got clean water, I don't know, that was before you, wasn't it? Anyway,
That
it
was
doesn't matter.
before
6 years
me,
ago or so.
yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
But we wouldn't actually be bonding for this. We're just requesting.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
right,
we're
yeah, this
bonding
this
when
is
we
just
have
a
funding.
formality.
We will get a far lower interest rate if we get a positive bond vote, we'll get a 2% interest rate as opposed to the bond, which is like 3.74, I think, right now, somewhere in that.
Right.
Sounds like you're building public housing on the top of it or something, 6 apartments for $2 million, it's just a lot of
So
money
do we
for a
lose the
pump station.
sidewalk that goes to the school because of the constraints of the property?
No,
Good.
nope.
That'd be good.
And then the third one, you're familiar with,
What,
the
over traffic
wastewater treatment facility upgrades, and we will change that number to be 49,589,000 to match the approval from the select board meeting.
Now I should raise my
Sure.
Okay. So on that bond vote, as we had it set up right now, and as your warning is, the informational meeting takes place on Monday night with the town meeting. I'm a little concerned about doing one meeting and trying to cover everything that night.
Sure.
And I would like the board to consider, before you set the final warning at the next meeting, perhaps doing 2 meetings. One to be more in-depth, and then the one at town meeting to be more of an overview. So to give people a little more time to come and really pick at the numbers, and mainly because I'm thinking, I could spend an hour and a half on that, easily. And on town meeting night, if I spent an hour and a half on it, you'd be at 9 o'clock with me just covering that one thing. And with an issue that big, I'm wondering if we should think about having more than one informational meeting. I know when I used to bid projects, when I was still working as an engineer, we usually did 2. We usually did one about a few days out, and then one the night before the vote. And it gave folks a time to get into it a little more in depth. It's just something, you know, it's a pleasure of the board, but it's just a concern I wanted to raise, because I think there's going to be a lot of interest in it, and there's going to be a lot to cover to kind of explain why that large bond item exists.
I think if
We could do something in February as a special meeting on the
So they just-
wastewater treatment bond.
Just adds that second paragraph when there's an additional information meeting scheduled to be
Yeah.
set. Gives, they need the date information, a folder
Right,
for that.
yeah. Yeah, I just think it might be beneficial.
Are you okay with simplifying this, instead of having it take 5 minutes to read the article, calling it the wastewater project? I mean, or do you think we should add the garage and truck scale and the things that, you know, did you hear earlier when
I don't think you
mentioned that?
need all of that detail in there. I mean, I think no matter what, people are going to want to see the detail, but
Yeah.
even by reading it there, they're not going to know what it means. So we need to have informational posters, the
Mhm.
video that Drew's helping us on.
Yeah.
Like, we need to have all of those sources available for the public to really explain.
Yep.
Do you think that this should be in this space or in a larger capacity space?
The informational, the
Yeah.
additional.
First one, yeah.
Oh, the first one I think we would probably want to do in a larger space, maybe the town gym.
Okay.
Yep.
Some place where you've got a screen.
Yeah.
Show a lot of visuals.
Yeah, we may not get a large turnout, but with an item like that, I kind of wonder, I would expect we
So
would.
if this is 50, it's only gonna be 15 people.
Yeah, I don't,
For the library, we had about 5 people show up. The rest of the people were on the Elsley 100 and
Oh, yeah.
trustees and stuff like that. And that was a $17 million bond.
Well, there had been an earlier, much larger meeting.
Oh, we'd had several
Yeah,
meetings
so,
around and
you know.
had at least 20 people in
Yeah,
those.
I think there's less
we don't
public
need to
understanding here.
We don't need to solve this tonight where we're having it.
Yep.
But,
Yes.
But-
the
but
fact
we
that we're
do-
going to have it.
I think it's a good idea.
We do in a way, because we should include it on the warning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And on the warning, it should list when the meeting is,
It needs to.
where it is, and what time it is. So we do kind of have to figure it out. Maybe not tonight, but we do have to figure it out.
Well, they could figure it out. I mean, it's-
They should be able to
they're-
figure it out, yeah.
I think
It's
we
not a
should do
select
it.
board meeting, so.
I think we should do it here.
Here?
Yeah.
Do it here.
We've fit quite a few people.
Okay.
And, you know, we can,
tech, you know,
Yeah.
to stream it.
Yeah, we did, the airport stuff, we did in here, it was packed. There was a lot of interest in that. And we could put a, you know, you can put a second screen, so, but you got overflow space over here.
And I was wondering about basically just doing a meeting a week out. Like the Monday night in the last Monday
Right.
in February.
Yeah.
just careful because the school board public meeting is.
Oh, yes, we wouldn't want to correspond. We'd have to
Is
check
that-
those dates.
That might be Tuesday night.
Yeah.
So it's the Tuesday.
You don't wanna do it before the school budget.
The problem with doing it in the gym is I don't know that they have the technology, and you also have to deal with bringing in chairs and
No,
everything like.
that's fine. If you folks think we could accommodate it here, yeah.
I mean, if we don't wanna do it here, then I think that trying to maybe do it at the auditorium at the high school is better, but I think we should just do it here.
I bet we'd be fine doing it here.
Yep.
I would be thrilled if we packed this room on the wastewater treatment plant.
That'd be great.
Yeah. It's
Okay.
interesting, because when I used to do the bond, like, I did bond votes up in Franklin County for like $2 million, and we'd pack the room. It was amazing the number of people who'd come for those things. Like I did, and that's why I get gun shy about it, is I did one in Sheldon, I think we had 40 people in the town of Sheldon for a water.
Wow.
Bond. Yeah. It was like $2 million.
Well,
Yep.
that's proportionally about the same reach financially for
Yep.
Sheldon,
Yep.
as we're talking about here.
Okay, just to move it forward here, we're hitting my 2-hour meeting time limit. And so, are there any other questions on these motions? If not, we need to run down through a total of 6 motions.
I move to authorize Town Clerk Karen Mott to sign the revised declaration of official intent of the town of Middlebury in relation to potential bonding for improvements to the wastewater treatment system.
Second. Aye.
Aye.
All in favor?
Move to authorize town manager Karen Mott to sign the revised declaration of official intent for the town of Middlebury in relation to potential bonding for construction of the Adam Acre Stormwater Treatment System project.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I move to authorize Town Clerk Karen Mott to sign the revised declaration of official intent of the town of Middlebury in relation to the potential bonding for the reconstruction of Roger Road Pump Station.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I move to authorize town clerk Karen Mott to sign the resolution certificate for the bond for the wastewater treatment plant to be presented to voters at town meeting on March 3rd, 2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. I move to authorize Middlebury Town Clerk Karen Mott to sign the resolution certificate for the bond for the Adams Acres Stormwater Treatment System to be presented to voters at town meeting on March 3rd, 2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I move to authorize Middlebury Town Clerk Karen Mott to sign the resolution certificate for the bond for the Rogers Road Pump Station improvements to be presented to voters at town meeting on March 3rd, 2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
That's how it gets
Thank you.
done. Right there.
You have to bring Brian a Snickers bar, he starts to get grumpy about 9 o'clock.
I like the 2-hour limit.
Yeah.
So wait, what?
I like the 2-hour limit.
Keeps things moving.
Yeah,
Okay,
it
check
does, we
warrants.
don't ever
I've
hit
got,
it, so.
I'm excited about these check warrants. They have the police canine in them.
Oh, speaking, where is our police canine? When do we get to meet him? Or it?
Yeah.
Bring him in?
Yeah, Guinness.
Guinness.
Still haven't met him. I met the employee. I met Abel.
It might be nice to be an employee
Yeah.
too.
Okay.
Aiden, he's great, but yeah, have not met the dog.
You lost it.
Okay, I move to approve total expenditures in the amount of $1,421,125.06, consisting of $1,161,731.24 for accounts payable and $259,393.82 for payroll for the period of December 18th, 2024 through January 14th, 2025.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Board member concerns. Heather?
I wanted to welcome Mark again. It's great to have you here. And I also wanted to just thank former Chief Hanley. I know we thanked him while he was here, but he, that was really big and important that he stepped up and helped us out in our time of need. So, Chief, thank you.
Been a privilege, really.
I also wanted to, if you happen to see the posts, Friends of Middlebury Hockey and Friends of Middlebury Football donated money to purchase AEDs in the memory of Derek Bartlett, so that all of our police cruisers now have AEDs. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
AEDs
Yes.
in them, because the Middlebury police are often the first on the scene when they get a call of that nature. So I wanted to make sure that we publicly thank Friends of Middlebury Hockey and Friends of Middlebury Football for their donation to our town and our community.
Yeah.
That's pretty neat.
Yes.
I'm all good.
All good, Fred?
Likewise.
What she said.
Andy?
Yeah, I'm set, thanks.
Okay, I do want to get the select board into a little executive session huddle, and just the board members, if you could lead
So
us
I
to
will
that.
move to enter into executive session related to the employment of a public officer or employee as allowed under Title I, Section 313, Sub A, Sub 3.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.